Question number 13. This is important question. It is a lengthy one. Explain the following terms with examples. Co-dominance, incomplete dominance. Okay, students, so this is an important question. Question number 13. It says explain these terms. We have got one that is co-dominance and the other one that is incomplete dominance. Now, if you look at it very carefully, there is dominance in both of these terms. Something that is co-dominance and the other one says incomplete dominance. Okay, so co-dominance means the alleles IA and IB are completely dominant over I. Okay, so if there is IAI and IBI, the phenotype shown would be only A and only B. That means IA and B, A and B are completely dominant over I. But when the genotype is IAIB, both of them would be expressed. Both these sugars would be expressed, and thus this is known as co-dominance. That is what is written. Now, in other words, when IA and I are present, only IA is expressed. Same goes with B. Okay, I are present, only B is expressed. But when IA and IB are present together, both are expressed having their own sugars. And hence, red blood cells have types A and B of sugars. Okay. Now, since there are 3 different alleles, there can be 6 combinations of the genotypes and 4 types of phenotypes. So genotypes could be IAI, IBI. This is 1, 2 and 3. The other would be IAIA, IBIB and II. Okay, so these are the other 4, 5 and 6. So these are the genotypes. Phenotypes are A, B, AB and O. Okay, students? So, going ahead. Alleles from parent 1, parent 2, offspring and their blood type. So, A will give you A, AB will give you AB, AI will give you A, B with A will give you AB, B with B will give you B, and B with I will also give you B. Lastly, I will give you O. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 genotypes. These are the genotypes. And A, B, AB and O are your phenotypes. So, ABO blood grouping also provides a good example of multiple alleles. Multiple alleles means more than 2 forms of genes are found governing the same character. So this is co-dominance. Both of them are expressed equally. Now, so we are done with co-dominance. Now, something that is incomplete dominance. Incomplete dominance means neither dominant nor recessive, and both of them are mixed together to give out something else. Okay, so that is incomplete dominance. Now, for this experiment, you can take an example of Mellibris jalpa or a 4 o'clock flower. Now this flower has pure traits of red and white. Now when red is mixed with white, what do we get, students? Red is dominant and white is recessive. So the first filial generation should have been all red with heterozygous gene. But the heterozygous gene gave out the color pink, right? When do we get pink? When we mix red and white both together, we get pink. So the first filial generations were all pink, and let's write this in words. So in Mendel's experiment, F1 offsprings always resemble with one of the two parents because complete dominance of one allele over the other. However, some traits of the F1 phenotype is intermediate between those of the parental trait, and thus it is known as incomplete dominance. So F1 generation is in between dominant and recessive, and thus it is known as incomplete dominance. Now, thus the incomplete dominance is the phenomenon where none of the contrasting characters or the alleles is dominant, and the expression of the trait in F1 offspring is intermediate or fine mixture. So it is what, students? It is an intermediate or a fine mixture of both of the factors. Now, so there is red flower and there is white flower. So the gametes form is R, and it gives rises to what? This should have been red. But this was what, students? This is pink in color. When do we get pink? When we mix red and white. So this is your F1 generation. When this was again pollinated for F2 generation, we got red, pink, and white. So the answer here is phenotypic ratio was 1:2:1, and genotypic ratio was also 1:2:1. So in incomplete dominance, the phenotypic and the genotypic ratio will remain equal. Okay, students? So we are done with question number 30 and both of these points. Now, this is just an explanation of what we did previously. So there are two examples where you can see incomplete dominance, snapdragon and 4 o'clock plant, that is Malibris jalpa. There are two types of flower color in pure state. The cross between varieties with red and white flower produces all pink in the first filial generation. Now, when F1 is selfed again, F2 progenies do develop red, pink and white flowers in the ratio of 1:2:1. Here, pink have the heterozygous phenotype, and thus the phenotypic and genotypic ratios are the same in incomplete dominance. Okay, students? So, incomplete dominance is not an example of pre-Mendelian concept of blending of inheritance because the parent type reappears in second filial generation, which would not be possible when blending truly occurred. Thus, the alleles of the gene for the flower color are therefore discrete and particulate. So we're done with both of these here. So you're supposed to keep all these points in mind when you're writing the answer. Okay.